Okay, the Law Bard is one of my favourite builds in the game to do. It's so much fun. So, this is my pure Law Bard from the start. We're going to do level 1 to 12 and a combat tutorial, as well as an item breakdown. So let's get to it. So, level 1 we're picking Bard, and we want our cantrips to be Vicious Mockery and Minor Illusion. When it comes to your 4 first level spells, we're going to take Healing Word, we're going to take Dissonant Whispers, so you can frighten a creature and they'll have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls, and they cannot move. This is a great first level spell, so powerful early game. It's definitely worth having. Tasha's Hideous Laughter is also just immensely good. Leave a creature prone with laughter without the ability to get up. Lasts for 10 turns, and if this hits, then you can easily land some critical hits on a proned enemy. Really, really powerful stuff. And of course, one of my favourite spells in the game, Thunder Wave. Obviously, your instrument, take whatever takes your fancy. When it comes to your ability points, we're going to have something akin to this. We need 16 in Charisma, as this is our spellcasting ability. 16 in Dexterity, as this affects your AC and your weapon attacks with finesse weapons, which we will be using. 14 in Constitution, as this affects your health as well as your Constitution saving throws and your Concentration saving throws. And we'll get to that as well. Comes to your proficiencies, take whatever you feel like. This will be the same for your expertise as well. Base this on if this is your main character or just a side character, and then go from there. Don't worry about min-maxing here. Number 1, that sucks. Number 2, doesn't really matter. Okay, Bard level 2, we now have access to Jack of all trades. So, add half your proficiency bonus, rounded down, to ability checks that you are not proficient in. This is amazing, such a good ability to have as a Bard, and it's instantly what makes a Law Bard so worth doing, even before you become a Law Bard. And Song of Rest. You and your allies are revitalized as though you would have taken a short rest. Really, really good stuff. For your next first level spell, we're going to take Cure Wounds. Okay, Bard level 3, and we are of course taking our specialization here. Currently, we have Cutting Words, and this is what we will keep. Use your wit to distract a creature and sap its confidence. Now we get our first level 2 spell of the game, and we're going to take Hold Person. So, holding a humanoid still, they can't move, act or react, and attacks from within 3 meters are always critical hits. Perfect. Land this, any hit on the next person is a critical, so if you can land this and then use a rogue to sneak attack, you'll be mass dealing damage from an early level. And of course, your subclass is the College of Law, which we just went with Cutting Words, but once again, use your wit to distract a creature and sap its confidence. For your proficiencies, take whatever 3 you like. Once again, just like your style ones, don't base this on anything proper. Just take what you feel like, whether it's your main character or a companion. And the same goes for your expertise. Okay, Bard level 4. We get 1 more cantrip, and for this one we're going to take Mage Hand. We have 1 more spell we can do, and we're going to take Heat Metal. Now I really like this spell. You can basically use it on anyone wearing armor or with a sword, and they'll either drop the weapon, or they'll take damage and then have disadvantage on attack rolls. Really, really powerful stuff. And what's really good about it is concentration. So, if you can land this, you can use your bonus action to recast it without using a new spell slot. So you can just do more damage, and you serve your main action free to cast a non-concentration spell or to hit with your blade. And for your feat, we are going to take the SI and we're going to bump our Charisma up to 18. Okay, Bard level 5, we now have Font of Inspiration. You regain all your bardic inspiration after a long or short rest. Basically, level 5, every short rest gets fully reset. Really, really phenomenal. We also have improved bardic inspiration, so the bonus gain from bardic inspiration increases to a 1d8. So we now have a chance of getting a +8 instead of a +6. And for your next spell here, we are going to take Hypnotic Pattern. Hypnotize creatures that can see the pattern. They cannot attack you, they cannot move or act. This spell can be cast while you're silenced. Very powerful stuff, especially if you can throw this in the middle of somewhere. Okay, Bard level 6, we now have Counter Charm. You and any allies within 9 meters have advantage on saving throws against being charmed or frightened. And we have access to more spells. And for this one, we're going to take Glyph of Warding. Once again, one of my favourite spells. And as I've said before, you throw this glyph down, and it will trigger at the end of your turn if there are allies within it. So you don't place it and then have to wait for enemies to run into you. If you can place this on your turn in an area with a bunch of allies, they will trigger it at the end of your turn, and you can basically do a mass AoE without having to wait for it to trigger. And we also have our first bout of magical secrets. Basically, these are really powerful spells you can take from any of the other subclasses, or other classes I should say. So the first two we are taking is Fireball and Counterspell. I think Counterspell is a must for a Bard, and Fireball is just a massive nuke of damage. 8d6. Really great stuff to have here. Bard level 7, we have access to more spells, and our first one is going to be the amazing Dimension Door. Basically, this gives us the chance to teleport ourselves and one ally to another place. Now this is really good because it's essentially like Misty Step for your character, but you get to take 2 people. Now they have to be no larger than medium in size, so bear that in mind, but really, really good spell to have. Okay, Bard level 8, we have a new feat. Now we get one more spell to choose from here, and for this one we are going to take Polymorph. Transform a creature into a harmless sheep. If the sheep's hit points drop to 0, the target reverts to its original form with its original hit points. Really good way of basically, if you can land this, you can nullify an enemy for 5 turns. Really good if you've got an enemy that's really just damaging you. Get them out of the fight immediately, focus on the little minions, have a round to heal, have a round to buff, that sort of thing. Now we have one more feat, and for this one, we are going to bump our Charisma up to 20. Now this is optional. You could, if you choose to, bump your Constitution up to 16. The reason being is, our hat gives us a +2. So for the end of this build, you can either have 20 Charisma by wearing the hat, or you can have 22 Charisma, because the hat we are using, Birthright, gives you a +2 up to 22. So, decide what you want to do here. Take your Charisma all the way to the top and have 20 Charisma, and then 22 at the end of the game, or take your Constitution up to 16. I'm going to do the Constitution to 16, and we'll leave Charisma at 18. The reason being is, this will help us with our health pool. It will also help us with our Constitution checks. Or sorry, our concentration checks. Just bear that in mind. Okay, Bard level 9. We have access to more spells, and the first one we're going to take is Hold Monster. This is basically Hold Person, but on steroids. Okay, Bard level 10, we have access to Improved Bardic Inspiration. So, we now have a +1d10 as opposed to +1d8. One more cantrip, so take anything you like. I like Dancing Lights. And we have one more spell, and for this one, we're going to take Cloud of Daggers. Conjure a cloud of spinning daggers that attack anyone inside it. I really like this spell, because if you can pull in a choke point, you can really just have mass damage, especially if you can keep them on the verge of it. So if you can place a fighter or barbarian right on the cusp of where the cloud is, and then keep the enemies within that cloud, because of things such as opportunity attacks, like Sentinel, that sort of stuff. Really good way of just having 4 to 16 extra damage, while your barbarian or your fighter or even a druid in wild shape just wails on enemies. We have one more chance of having some magical secrets, so for this one, we're going to take Banishing Smite. Now, this is actually a spell paladins get at, I believe it's level 17. That tells you everything you need to know. It's such a big hit. Plus 5d10, so you can do up to 50 points of damage and possibly banish the target to another plane of existence. Really, really good. We're also going to take the Hunger of Hadar. Creatures within this black sphere are blinded and take damage at the start of their turn. Creatures in this take 2 to 12 cold damage, and then when they end, they take 2 to 12 acid. So, a possibility of having up to 24 damage if they start and end their turn within this, and it's difficult terrain, meaning it's hard to walk through. One of my favourite spells in the game, and this spell saved me so many times in my first playthrough. For your expertise, take 2 of anything. This brings us to Bard level 11. We now have access to level 6 spells, and you can see we have a bulk load of them. The first one we're going to take is Otto's Irresistible Dance. Concentration spell, but if you throw this up, basically the enemy can't do anything. Attackers on the enemy have advantage, so it's like Hold Person, but the creature, instead of being still, is basically just forced to dance. Really, really powerful stuff. There is no saving throw for it. So you can cast this on anyone. I put this on Savrok, on Gortash, on anyone I possibly could, and it was phenomenal. And Bard level 12, this is our final level. We're going to take Mass Cure Wounds just for the healing options. And we have an ASI choice here. There are 3 things you could do. You could take, and this one will be a bit of a wild card, Warcaster. Now we don't really care about the reaction to cast Shocking Grasp at a target moving out of melee range. What we care about is advantage on saving throws to maintain concentration on a spell. That is really good. Your other options we can do here is the ability score improvement. Bump our dexterity up to 18. Bump our constitution up to 18. Bump your charisma up to 20. Basically, pick whatever you like here. No real right or wrong option. For the sake of the video, I'm going to bump charisma up to 20. So you have 22 overall. But you really do have the option of doing whatever you want here. Okay, so that was our build for our little lore bard. Now let's go over the items. First up, as I said before, Birthright. Now this is available in Act 3 from the magic shop that I can't remember the name of now. Not very helpful. Sorcerer's Sundries, that's it. And essentially, +2 to your charisma up to 22. So this can push you past the cusp of your ability score improvements. Really powerful stuff. This will affect your spell casting and all sorts. Probably worth taking as your helmet. Now when it comes to the rest of the equipment, a lot of the best stuff is found in Act 1 for bards, in my opinion. So I'm going to give you some other options here. If you want to take things that improve your bardic inspiration or restore your bardic inspiration, blah 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 blah, do so. I'm going to give you some options though that are a little left field. So we'll start with the Vivacious Cloak. Gain 8 temporary hit points after casting a spell while in melee. This is perfect for things like Heat Metal, Healing Word, all those sort of lovely things. The Evasive Shoes are +1 to acrobatics and a +1 to armor class, because the higher the armor class, the less likely to get hit, the more you're going to hold on to your spells. The Graceful Cloth. Gain Cat's Grace and increase your dexterity score by 2 to a maximum of 20. We also increase our jump distance and a +1 to our dexterity saving throws. So now if you look at our stats on the right hand side, we have 18 dex, 16 con, 22 charisma. And again, you could have moved the 2 ASI to your con and be 18, 18, 20. Really good way of having balanced stats with this equipment load. The Braces of Defense gain a +2 bonus to armor class as long as you're not wearing armor or holding a shield. This works because the shoes are not classed as armor, and the Graceful Cloth is clothing, not armor. So we get a +2 to our armor class, bumping our armor class up to 17. For a pendant, we're going to take the Moondrop one. When the rare has 50% hit points or less, they don't provoke opportunity attacks. Reason being is we are going to be a melee bard, putting ourselves in the cusp of battle. This way, if we start taking a bulk load of damage, we can drop out. When it comes to rings, we're going to take the Strange Conduit Ring. Again, when concentrating a spell, you deal an additional 1 to 4 psychic damage, basically a nice little damage buff. And we're going to take the Caustic Band. Again, an extra 2 acid damage. And finally, for a weapon, we're going to take the Harmonic Dueler. This gives us a 1d8 +5 because we are limited to what weapons we can use, being a lore bard. But it also gives us Mellow Harmony. Make a performance check, success granting all your melee weapon attacks additional damage equal to your charisma modifier. That being a +6 if we're at level 22. Really, really good stuff. So that is our build. We're going to go find some combat and we will test this out. Okay, we're in the combat now. We're going to show off a few options we have, which are amazing. We'll start off with a very simple thing. Vicious Mockery. Now, as you can see, because they need an 18 to save and they roll a 19, we can use one of our Bardic Inspiration to do Cutting Words, which means they fail. Now you can see they took the Vicious Mockery, so if we examine them, they now disadvantage on the next attack roll and can't make opportunity attacks unless it's against their recent attacker. So just bear that in mind. Okay, so you saw Vicious Mockery. Now let's show Dissonant Whispers. Frightened creature will have disadvantage on ability checks and attack rolls and cannot move. And the higher you cast this, the more damage it will do. So we'll just upcast it because why not? And there you go, we did 24 damage and they're now frightened. Another really good option you get from the start of the game. Okay, time for a few more options. Now, we don't really need to go over the healing options because it's not necessary. Bardic Inspiration. So this is what you use your bonus action for. Inspire an ally to add a plus 1d10 to the next attack roll, ability check, or saving throw. So let's throw this on Jaheira, who's next in the turn order. Just like that. And that still has our options available for our rest of our spells. So let's throw up a heat metal and we'll upcast it to the highest level. Now, who do we have the ability to have the highest amount of damage on? Looks like they're wearing leather. Let's throw it on this dude. It's only 55% chance, but... And there you go. 30 damage, and he dropped his weapon. This is a phenomenal spell if you can get it going. Mass damage, and because of this, on our next turn, as a bonus action, we can now recast it for free, as long as we maintain concentration, and keep dealing that damage, and still have our main action open.
Orders.
And with Jaheira, we can use our cutting words, or sorry, our bardic inspiration if we need to. We did not, we got a critical, so we basically still have it, and it'll basically trigger when we need to use it. Now see, the enemy had to waste their turn picking up their sword, which is really good because it now means our rogue, for example, could come in here and stab. Just like that. And basically we got a free round of damage on them. And now, as you saw, unfortunately, they did hit us once. They missed the first stack. They did hit us with the second one, though. But we maintained our concentration. Okay, so, as I said before, come back to your heat metal, and you can reapply the damage. 100% chance to hit. And there you go, we absolutely melted them. And what's amazing about this is because we did that, we can now come back in here with a hold monster, for example. Cast it on the next major enemy. And there you go, now they are stuck.
I think I could go in.
Which now means all attacks against this enemy are guaranteed critical hits. There you go, 12 damage from Jaheira. And another critical hit, and critical poison damage thanks to the buff on Shadowheart's weapon. And until we lose concentration, we cannot... The enemy cannot move, attack, or anything like that. They are just stuck. And as I said before, if you can do this with a rogue to trigger sneak attack, you'll see it is amazing. There you go. 6 health now, all the way down from about 60 in one round. Now again, we do have lots of good options for other spells we can do. Being Glyph of Warding, as I said before, we have Counter Charm, we have Fireball. But I would like to show off the Hunger of Hadar. Now, it doesn't matter how high of a level you cast it, it's the same damage. So let's just do a third level one. The area is massive. Really hard area to get out of. So let's just place it here. As you can see, the enemy is now stuck within the Hunger of Hadar. We managed to choke him in this entire section here. So we'll see how that works out. And there you go, another thing we can do. We used our cutting words to stop the enemy from hitting. And as you can see, stuck in the hunger, took 8 cold damage. Now, unfortunately, I did save the last bit, but they would have taken more as well then. Really potent spell to keep people trapped within here. Now from here, we have other options. We could throw a fireball in here. So, just throw a nice little third level fireball all the way down into this area. There you go. Again, they made the save because of dexterity, but they still took 15 damage, and they're still stuck in the hunger. And again, another easy 5 damage, still in the hunger. And then they ended in the hunger as well, but they did make the save once again. And that's really good. We can keep the enemy stuck here, thanks to Jaheira, and thanks to Shadowheart. So just bear in mind, these are options you have to keep people trapped, as long as you stay on the cusp of the area. Again, another easy 7 damage, still stuck in the hunger. Once again, we can use cutting words to make it miss. And they are just trapped forever until we lose concentration. Again, they did make the save, but they're still guaranteed to take that damage at the start. And just to show off how our base damage is with a weapon attack. There you go, we just did 12 damage, which isn't too bad. That's also the extra from being able to concentrate on Hunger of Hadar and from the Caustic Band. And the enemy's finally dead just from being stuck in there. Wasn't able to attack. Didn't do anything once they're trapped in there. So if you do this with more and more enemies and really create a choke point to get them stuck, you basically get free damage while your enemy or while your allies can stand on the edge, keep smacking them and keep that crowd control going. It's a very potent spell. Now when you've got an ally stuck in an awful position like this that you can't get to, or it will take you a while to get to, Dimension Door is your best friend. Send your people wherever you need to. Just like that. Now we didn't select Shadowheart because I messed up. But that is how Dimension Door works. It is basically Misty Step, but you can take 2 people like I said. And that is my Lorbard build. Again, it is so powerful, really fun to play as. You can do a lot of damage, you can really control the battlefield. I don't think there's a better battlefield control class than the Lorbard. So, if you have enjoyed, please drop the episode a like, it helps me amazingly. If you're new and you're not subscribed, you'd like to, that'd also be amazing. Let me know what you would change about this build in the comments below, and hopefully, I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.